Greetings, everyone. This is Rock and Roll Spot Cruncher with the weekly comic book roundup, and we're finally on to this, well, past week's comics. Starting with Sword, number 10. Where we left off in Sword, the Lethal Legion attacked Araco as the Shi'ar delegation arrived. However, it turns out that the Lethal Legion was sent by Orcus, who in fact have an inside man in Sword, WizKid. So the issue largely focuses on WizKid, and he explains that he, by and large, he kind of feels like humans and mutants are really not so different. They all, as he is handicapped, they all give him the same looks. And he even addresses why he hasn't gone through the crucible to, get himself, to have himself resurrected with the use of his legs. But he's not in a hurry to die. But so we go through his routine. He's also autistic, or just not autistic. My bad. Dyslexic. He is dyslexic. Misremembered a few. Getting things across in my head. It happens. But he's smart as he is. He spent most of his life trying to convince you he was smart, and medications, especially crack cocaine medications, are helping, but they only help so much. The present, during the battle of Lethal Legion, Storm has entered the fray, and her Cannonball and Frenzy do manage to take down the remaining members of the Lethal Legion. However, the Legion gets a bit of an the last member of the Lethal Legion is basically made to become inert briefly, so that new tactics can be downloaded. Back with WizKid, we get his thoughts on Cable. He liked, he actually, he kind of did see Cable as his friend, but when Cable was a teenager, and the old man looks in the same way that the kid Cable did. So, but he uses his abilities, and he basically turns the technovirus into a taser, and incapacitates Cable. But new tactics are come up with, namely reinforcements. Cable wakes up, and turns out there's an emergency alert going on the peak, and someone ordered a full evacuation of the peak. Turns out that the whole idea of having multiple, and also it turns out that the whole idea of having multiple lethal legions, that's a perk of buying in bulk, basically. But there's an explosion on Sword Station 1, and as the explosion occurs, WizKid is talking about everything with Gyrick at Alpha Flight Space Station, and Gyrick asks why, and WizKid simply explains that it's because everyone looks in the same way. Human, mutant, doesn't matter. They all look in the same way. However, turns out this is all part of a plan. Brand engineered a plan to get someone inside Orcus by making Orcus think they had someone inside Sword. And in fact, Brand, using some pin particles, has stowed away and listened in on every word that was said between Gyrick and WizKid, thanks to some pin particles. And that is where the issue ends. I hate to say it, but this is probably the first time where I was kind of just I actually felt that Sword got predictable. Um, I just didn't see WizKid actually betraying Sword. It didn't feel right. It felt like it honestly felt like there was going to be a double agent and everything, but it's still well done, well told, and I really like getting some background on WizKid. All I've ever read with him before Sword was, I believe it was some issues of some tie-ins to the old Inferno crossover from the late '80s, I think. But yeah, he was. I believe, if I recall, he was part of the X Terminators at the time. So, or in the X Terminators book at least. Moving on to our next book, we've got X Force number 25. So, this is the beginning of a whole new arc. Begins. Forge made Wolverine a surfboard. Perfect surfboard, and it's even coated in adamantium. So there's a cove on Krakoa referred to as Dead Mutant Cove. Massive waves, and so Wolverine goes surfing with it with his new board. Other major story plot point in the issue involves Phoebe and Quentin. But so the two of them hang out, and she kind of would like him to kind of tone things down a notch. But they go to the Bower, looking at some of the babies, and yeah. But while surfing, Wolverine runs into some other mutant surfers. But during Phoebe and Quentin's visit to the Bower, we see some of the other babies, including one that was born with an active X gene. Telekinesis is definitely part of it, but yeah. Turns out though the Cuckoos would prefer that Phoebe end her dalliance with Quentin. They've always done things together, not individually. So. But the group of mutant surfers that Wolverine meets, they hang out, they talk other places they surf, other places they want to surf, including wanting to surf Morocco. But yeah, Phoebe breaks up with Quentin, but we get an entry from Sage's logbook. Black Tom has asked that she look into something. Maybe there's a baby heist. And yes, there is in fact a baby heist. The surfers have just stolen a whole the babies from the Bower. And that is where the issue ends. Okay, very interesting. It's going to be quite cool to see where this goes. And that was probably just an insane thing to have happen. To be fair, I kind of get it. With everything, all the various treatments, mutant kind likely feels very safe on Krakoa. But yeah, good issue. Interesting start to a new story. So we'll see where it goes. Moving on to our next book, we've got Amazing Spider-Man number 78.BEY. So this is something that I know was done a few times during the recently wrapped up. Dick Spencer run on Amazing Spider-Man, where there'd be a major storyline and a side story from what was going on would be fleshed out in a point whatever issue. Like there was, I think Last Rites had a few like that. Maybe Sinister War did too. But yeah. So yeah. Anyway, this issue, as you can tell from the cover, focuses on Colleen Wing and Misty Knight, the Daughters of the Dragon. They are working for Beyond, but starts off that morning with a combat simulation, Avengers Murder Mansion, basically taking the various Avengers and mixing them with slasher villains. You got like Cap with Leatherface, Giant Man and Freddy, Iron Man and Jason and Misty as the final girl. It was designed by Colleen, who apparently was a big fan of slasher movies growing up. But the daughters are tasked with a mission. There's a creature, there's a thing on the loose, and well, Beyond wants them to test out a containment device. So they fight the thing. They've also been given all manner of fun toys, which the issue does go into what each one is and its skew. The creature is some kind of odd energy being with a giant star on its chest. So, but they use the Beyond Corporation pocket battlefield, which has kind of melded with which trapped Colleen and Misty inside the Avengers Murder Mansion training sim. So they got to go through and test it, but they've got weapons aplenty. The Beyond Corporation Kapow high explosive ammunition, for example. Beyond Corporation Sanjuro Viro Katana. Beyond Corporation Bug Off High Intensity Insecticide. Whoops, all scorpions. Ham R Hand. Out Damn Spot Stain Remover. And the final ones, they use everything, but all they got left is an antimatter bomb. It's referred to as the Beyond Corporation do not use under any circumstances antimatter bomb. Not for mass market. Not for mass market. Yet. But they toppled the creature, and they reach in to grab it to remove its power source, covered in guts and all manner of junk when they go to meet with the boss. Power source seems to be a glowing black star, which looks rather similar to the glowing black star placed on the chest of a drunken Brooklyn years and years ago. A drunken Brooklyn who would go on to become Next Wave member, the Captain. His name is the Captain. But an arrangement is made. They explain they have nothing to show for what happened. Testing stuff, and hey, they did say, they kind of saved the day. So, but they're taking sick days. On their sick day, Colleen and Misty meet with Monica Rambeau and give her the glowing star. Turns out Monica knows just where it needs to go. And that is where the issue ends. And I'm going to say I'm glad we're going early on into talking about Next Wave with this, because, yeah. I'm honestly hoping we get to see the Captain again. The Captain was created as an original character by Warren Ellis for Next Wave. So it would stand to reason that perhaps due to creator ownership rights, that perhaps Marvel is hesitant to use him often, at least without the presence of Warren Ellis. So, anyway, moving on to our next books, we go to the DC corner of things with Batman Secret Files, The Gardener. This is just it's the origin of the Gardener, a retelling of Poison Ivy's origin. The Gardener is Poison Ivy's ex-girlfriend from college. They both have similar powers. They both worked very closely with Jason Woodrue, the Floronic Man. But this is all the framing devices that it's being their origins are being explained by the Gardener to Batman. The Gardener also informs Batman that after Ivy's recent death, well, she basically made a seedling and hid it. That seedling was what Silent Saint took and was using to make one of his associates was using in Catwoman a while back. So And also that ceiling is basically the missing piece of Queen Ivy's personality, basically. Interesting stuff. The gardener was not a character I don't think I even heard of her before her recent appearances in the Bat books. I know she appeared previously, likely while I was out of comics, but yeah, interesting stuff. I dug it. It's interesting that she's very much against operating in any city that has superheroes. She finds things get just too black and white there, which I get it. I get it. Anyway, moving on to our next book, we've got Nightwing number 86. So we're getting close to the end of Fear State, but where we left off, Nightwing and Batgirl, Oracle, had at least figured out, they hadn't managed to figure out who Seer is, they figured out where Seer was. Aboard Simon Saint's skyship. So, but also the clock tower had been destroyed, and in fact, Batgirl, Robin, and Nightwing were thought that the other Batgirls, Cassandra and Stephanie, were inside. But Stephanie gets a hold of them and explains, no, they got out of there. They saw what was coming and they bolted. They talk, they compare info, and they form a plan. Also, Red Robin, Tim Drake, explains that Babs and Dick kissed. To which Stephanie simply says, finally. But they get some magistrate armor, which confuses things further. I'm still not sure if the magistrate troops are robots, people in armor suits, or what. So, yeah. But they get aboard the skyship, and once aboard, they all lose their helmets, so that the Bat Squad knows who to hit. They make their way through. Yeah, but Seer is gone. However, Saint's skyship is taken down with Saint aboard. Plummets down into Gotham Bay. And now, the question is, who is Seer and where is Seer? And that is where the issue ends. With, in fact, this as well as the current backup story of Batman being a setup for the upcoming Batgirls ongoing, which begins next month. Which brings us to our last. And Nightwing's been, even with Nightwing being involved in being dragged into Fear State, which it makes sense. He was the first. He was, one of the first members of the Bat family. So yes, of course, he's gonna be involved in a Batman crossover. But yeah, it works. It does. It does kind of suck not that the really interesting story being told in Nightwing kind of had to be put on pause for that. But thankfully, Tom Taylor and Company will be returning to it next month. Which brings us to our last video for the week, or for the moment, not the week, the moment. Batman number 117. So, this is a book that probably should have come out a week later, because it's going to wrap up things with other parts of Fear State still going on for another week, so yeah. But I'm not the one who figures out when each book is going to ship. Anywho, where we left off, Simon Saint was ordering an attack on Ivy's Eden, which is where the issue. And Batman and Molly were trying to stop the Scarecrow, who was planning to use the a modified version of the Mind Machine to induce, well, a fear state in Gotham. The issue begins with Saint trying to losing the signal to his attack on the guard and trying to what's happened as Red Robin, Batgirl, and Nightwing showing up to take him down. But elsewhere, Batman's dealing with Peacekeeper 01. Scarecrow's trying to, Miracle Molly's trying to fix what Scarecrow did to the Mind Machine, but Scarecrow makes a good point. You know, what are you gonna do? Stop this and let Gotham go back to how it was, or do something better? But the fight with between Batman and Peacekeeper 01 continues on in earnest. In Eden, Harley has arrived with the missing piece of Ivy. They merge, and the Poison Ivy we know and love, and especially Harley loves, is back. She heals the wounded version of the. She does what she can to heal it, to at least stop what Scarecrow's done to the city, and she also heals the member of the Insanity Collective that was shot escaping their base. And her and Harley have a nice kiss. But Batman manages to take down Peacekeeper 01. Burns explained that, that he gets it. Sean Mahoney's not trying to save Gotham. He's never been trying to save Gotham. He's always trying to save himself, and that is why he'll fail. But Molly kind of thinks maybe Scarecrow was right, at least vaguely. Something needs to be done to fix Gotham. But Batman manages to talk her out of triggering the Mind Machine by linking her to footage of what's going on in the city and seeing everyone. Simon Saint has been arrested. Harley succeeded. Ivy helped save the city. Everything's good for the moment. But Batman unmasks himself to her, and Molly even tells him that she's not sure that he's entirely right about things, but he even says that he's not sure he's right. Not much in the world he is sure of, but he believes. And so he tells her it's going to be all right. The flowers blooming in the remains of Arkham, and they hug. Then our backup, we've got Batgirls Part 3. The Batgirls are still on the run. The clock tower's gone. The reporter they were watching is not entirely. It might be a little drunk, but they're trying to figure out what to do about Seer. But yes, Seer is still watching. And again, this also sets up the Batgirls ongoing. And we also get a look at Seer and how Seer actually looks. So yeah, Fear State's pretty much done. We've still got the wrap-up issue for the Detective Comics story. We got the wrap-up issue for Harley, and we've got Fear State Omega. But that's going to do it for now. As always, feel free to like, share, and subscribe. Links to my Facebook, Twitter, Patreon, and PayPal can be found in the description box down below. This is Rock and Roll Spock signing off, saying, live long and rock hard.